People born from incest, share your stories. How has it affected your life and health? I'm working with two children born from incest. The boy has microcephaly, a small head, cerebral palsy, severe ADHD, and developmental delays. He's almost a teenager, but his developmental level is that of a 6-year-old. He will probably need lifelong care. His parents are uncle and niece, but his mother is also mentally impaired. The girl was born to a brother and sister. They have 4 children together, but she's the only one with problems. I'd swear she has Marfan syndrome. She has loose joints, very long fingers and toes. Her brain doesn't process light, so she's effectively blind. She also has a severe form of autism, but that's probably not a result of her parents' incest. But it's actually been beneficial to her because she's very intelligent. She's 10 now, learning to communicate and doing well in school. She'll soon start attending a regular school, but in a special class due to her blindness. But we hope that in a few years she'll start attending a regular class. She can't go to the toilet independently yet, but that's not surprising, given that she's autistic and can't see. However, the most difficult patients during my time as a pediatric nurse were children born from incest, but children of mothers who used alcohol or illicit substances during pregnancy. There were such beautiful children who could have had wonderful lives if their mothers hadn't poisoned themselves during pregnancy. I used to work as a teacher's assistant in a special education school, which was for those who'd been expelled from regular school or couldn't learn there. I'll never forget one student. Her grandfather was her father. She was about 19 or 20 and had to wear diapers all the time. She suffered from a severe form of autism, but was very sweet and kind. I worked there about 2 years ago, and if I remember correctly, she was studying the 2nd or 3rd grade curriculum. On the last day of school, she and almost all the children were very upset and didn't want to leave for summer vacation, because for many of them we were the only adults they could rely on. About a year after the school closed, I met her when I was walking home from work. She recognized me and gave me a big hug. I'll never forget it. My mother gave birth to me from my own brother. It's just trash. Mom corrupted him to raise him as a good lover. I was born when he was 19, and she was 37. As a child, I thought he was just my brother, and that my father had abandoned us, but when I was 14, I accidentally caught them together. I was horrified and lashed out at them, and then they told me the whole truth. I felt a lot of resentment and disgust, so that same night I packed my things and left home. I haven't seen them since. I don't know any other relatives because my mother left her parents in her youth and no longer communicated with them. My sister-in-law teaches French in one of the areas where a large influx of Muslim families has recently arrived. In the elementary school where my sister-in-law works, there are classes where students are uncles, aunts, cousins, and second cousins, and so on to each other. During one lesson, almost half the class raised their hands. All of them were immigrants. They wanted to know what word to use when one of your parents is a cousin to the other. The sister-in-law decided not to focus on the designations of family ties in French anymore. We are all doing great. My mother is my father's daughter, but now they are both married to others. The only genetic disorder I have is synesthesia. I see the colors of sounds. It only bothers me when I try to fall asleep with the lights off, because if I hear a sound, I see its corresponding color. I can even see my cat in pitch darkness. I'm thinking about adopting a child and not having my own because I'm afraid of passing on my disorder. My parents are second cousins. I have minor endocrine problems, but not that serious. I'm very embarrassed that my parents are relatives. The youngest members of our family don't know this, nor do my friends. It would be awful if they found out. Once a classmate joked that my parents were cousins, since I have Middle Eastern roots. I almost had a heart attack, but then I realized she was joking and laughed with everyone. I have acquaintances, sisters from India, who were adopted by an American couple when they were babies. It turns out they were born from incest. Their uncle raped their mother. They both grew up beautiful and intelligent, so in their case there were no negative consequences. I was adopted when I was 2 years old. My parents and I are very close. They never hid from me that I was adopted. I didn't care at all until I reached adolescence and wanted to know about my real ones. At 12, I found a small safe in my parents' pantry and carefully examined its contents for any information. I was able to find out my real last name, but nothing more. 6 years have passed, and I have developed several rather serious illnesses, and I wondered if I could have inherited any of them from my my parents. I met with a caseworker in the state where I live, and he helped me get some information. He even offered me to meet my biological mother, but I refused. I received a folder with information regarding the health of my biological parents and their relatives. It turned out that my mother claimed that her brother was my father. All the women in my mother's family, grandmother, aunts, and so on, suffered from serious mental illnesses. Each of them was deprived of their rights to their children due to neglect of parental duties and alcoholism. So I decided never to drink alcohol. This information threw me off balance for a while. I felt terrible shame. I asked my mom if she knew that I might be the product of incest. She replied that they were informed about this when they were already processing the adoption papers. She also assured me that my biological mother's words should not be 100% believed, as she had been mentally ill for a long time. I'm not sure if I'll ever know for sure if it's true. I try to think about it as little as possible and pay more attention to my parents, who loved me with endless love, and gave me the opportunity to live an amazing life, but sometimes doubts still overcome me. At such moments, I feel flawed. My origin is known only to my parents and husband. I secretly hope that my biological mother made it all up because of her illness. I had two adopted brothers who are products of incest. Both of them are mentally, they are fully functional. One had problems with the law, the other has Prader-Willi syndrome. This means that he can eat anything and in huge quantities because he doesn't feel full. They will never be able to take care of themselves independently. My old neighbor was born as a result of her mother being raped by her own father. She had cognitive impairments that resembled early dementia, though it progressed very slowly. She also suffered from diabetes and a number of mental illnesses, pathological hoarding, schizophrenia, agoraphobia. If such a concept as autism spectrum disorder existed in those years, it would definitely be diagnosed in her. She had two children not products of incest, who had severe forms of mental disorders and mild mental retardation. The son was a violent paranoid schizophrenic, the daughter had hoarding syndrome. They all lived together on disability benefits. One day, police searched their house and found that they were living in dirt amidst the corpses of their pets. As a result, they were evicted. The son and daughter, both in their 50s, left and were never seen again. Their mother became homeless and eventually ended up in a nursing home. No one visited or except us. There was frequent sexual abuse in my mother's family, especially by her stepfather. Mom is the eldest of 7 children. 2 of the siblings are half-siblings, and all the others are obviously born to different fathers. Believe me, they don't even need a DNA test. For many years it was unclear who was whose father, but now that they are all adults, their characters and facial features clearly show who was born to whom. Due to so much violence in the family, some of the children were born to their mother's stepbrothers. Given the number of different head problems from mental disabilities to mental disorders, I am sure that at least some of them are products of incest. One of my uncle's cousins grew up very unsociable. His mom was too young, didn't know what to do with him, so she often left him alone in his crib for long periods. He lacked attention and care. No one talked to him, so he grew up a real savage. He was very unlucky. Now he is over 40 and barely able to hold an adult conversation. He has a good heart, but he often believes in various conspiracy theories and other nonsense. He couldn't build a career. He speaks incoherently and has difficulty understanding what is said to him. He can probably be considered a living example of how their family treats living beings like garbage. No one intervened or helped him. Needless to say, I try to stay away from these people. In a support group for parents who experienced miscarriage or infant death, there was one woman who accidentally committed incest, and that was the real cause.